lend me your ears. Today, the bandits, they took it all from us. That scoundrel, Belonius the Brutal, has ruined our village. He has slain our animals, killed our kin, and left us in the flames. But these flames, they burn brighter than Belonius could ever imagine. You, Carson, Belonius took your brother prisoner. Tonight, we ride to take him back. Oh, me? Thomas, I don't know. I just thought I'd kind of stay here. Stay here? Carson, Belonius killed your parents. You must avenge them. Avenge them? Oh. I kind of thought that maybe like I could honor them by living like an intentional, slow, kind life. Like forgive and forget. That's what my mom used to say. Would she say that about Belonius? Maybe kill them with kindness? Carson, enough! We ride at dawn. Oh, God, I don't know, man. I got like a lot to do. I have to pick up some things. Pick up some things? Like what? What are you going to pick up? Like some sticks? This is your destiny. Oh, whatever. My destiny? What about Jacob?
What?
They took his, what was it?
They took my wife.
Yeah, whatever, his wife. It's probably more his destiny. Carson, what are you afraid of? Where do you want me to start? Carson, this is the moment. This is the moment where you choose to become a hero or someone who turns their back on family. Fine. We ride at dawn. A portion of this video is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. The Quest. The pivotal moment in any story that sets the characters out on a journey to accomplish something. And I'm here to tell you that the quest is the most important part of your story. And let's get something clear right away. A quest is not a fantasy exclusive thing. It's not just Frodo and the Fellowship going to destroy the ring. It's not just Simon Mooncalf escaping the evil wizard. That's Tad Williams, by the way, great series. Nearly every story in every genre has a quest. Gatsby's quest is to win Daisy's heart, and any Hercule Poirot novel is a quest at solving the mystery. Every traditional King Arthur story, it's simply a quest. In fact, the oldest stories in human history are all those of a quest. The Odyssey is a quest to return home. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a quest for immortality. Beowulf is the quest to kill the beast. It is in our blood to root for a hero on a quest. It is undeniable that there is something about the quest that we just love. What are your favorite quests? Are quests better in movies, books, or video games? I have my own opinions, but I would love to hear yours. Post them below. So today, we're going to break down what makes a quest so engaging. And we're going to leave this video with an actionable list. I know that you all love lists. And you can apply this to your own stories to make sure that your quest is compelling. Quests work so well in stories because they contain an entire package of information. We know who the heroes are. We know what the goal of the quest is. We know what the stakes of the quest is, and we typically know the enemy or the antagonist. All of that information is right at our fingertips. Another hallmark of a quest is that the journey typically brings our characters through a bunch of new locations, which is of course great for the reader because they get to experience a bunch of cool places throughout the world, but also great for the author just because it's a great way to keep things fresh. Speaking of quests, I wonder if Carson ever found Belonius the Brutal. I mean, like our whole village was like dry tinder and like twine, so like whose fault was it really anyway?
Slow down, son. I'm writing with squid ink here. Oh, by King Laren's beard, I knew it wasn't spelled like that.
Oh, nice. You can just fix your mistakes just like that?
It's just simple spell checker magic. Fixes little mistakes.
Have you heard of Pro Writing Aid? I mean, it's just like magically fixes everything that you write. It tells you all kinds of things to help make your writing better.
Pro writing aid?
Look, here, I'll show you. Pro Writing Aid is the storyteller's toolkit. It's made by writers for writers, and it's everything that you need to unlock the potential of your writing. What makes Pro Writing Aid really powerful is all of their actionable reports that give you real-time feedback on different aspects of your writing. You can run their grammar report and get all kinds of feedback on spelling and punctuation and passive voice, but they have a dozen more reports to give you so much more information. The transition report gives you information on how your paragraphs flow into each other. The readability report helps you make sure that your writing is easy to read and accessible. I use Pro Writing Aid to edit my latest book, Starlight Farm's Kennel for Talking Dogs, and it's only because of using Pro Writing Aid that this book feels so well put together. I really got a lot out of using that readability report, the style report, and the sticky sentences report. Pro Writing Aid gives you feedback to help you learn how to write better. And when you use Pro Writing Aid, your data stays protected. They use bank-level security to keep your writing safe and never use your writing to train its algorithms.
Bah! Probably couldn't afford it.
Well, if you use my code WritingTheory10 at checkout, you can get 10% off of your order.
10% off, eh?
Look, the quest works so well because the reader has all of the information that they need to be invested in what's happening. They have the information of who is going on the quest, what they need to do, what happens if they fail, and who or what is opposing them. And let's break down each one of these elements and really learn how to craft a successful and compelling quest. The heroes of our quest need some very specific focus. And the very first thing I want you to do when considering your heroes, and I'm just calling them that to keep it on like the theme of the quest, these are just your protagonists or even like your singular main character. The first thing to any good hero of a quest is to know what their life is like before the quest begins. And this is important for a few main reasons. First, it establishes their history. We need to know what they were like before this quest inevitably changes them. We need that establishing shot so that we can eventually compare their life after the quest with their life before the quest. And if you think that this isn't important, then you're missing out on some of the most satisfying moments of storytelling. The reason that we start any story before the inciting incident is so that we can set up the status quo before we then break it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, every story would just begin at the big, exciting, inciting incident. Try saying that 3 times fast. Why waste time setting things up before that exciting moment when you could just start the story with the big kickoff event? Look, the reason authors do this setup, is so that readers get invested in the character before things happen to them. Imagine if you ever only saw Luke Skywalker learning the Force without the knowledge of where he came from and how he lost his family. It just loses so much impact. So this leads us to our first element of a good quest. Spend time establishing the status quo before you break it. A lot of modern quests also include a moment of reluctance before a hero accepts their role in the quest. And again, the whole reason that this is done is to later pay off when that character finally does accept their role and become an active participant in the quest. This is Bilbo Baggins, going from a burden to the dwarven party to a savior and putting himself in danger for others when time and time again we've seen his sort of like refusal of the call of adventure. You'll notice that a lot of storytelling, and this extends to plot frameworks that you might follow, like the hero's journey or Save the Cat, they involve creating a moment earlier in the story specifically to pay off in a satisfying way later. That's this. The goal of the quest is typically pretty clear from the get-go, and I think that's a good thing. And of course, there are complications that the heroes encounter, there are unknowns that become known, but for the most part, we know that King Arthur's looking for the Holy Grail. We know that Harry Potter wants to destroy the Horcruxes. We know what the goal is. It's always very clear. Now you might wonder, why is that? Why not have the quest be a little more obscure? Wouldn't it be more fun if we kept some of that important information hidden away to discover later? And yeah, sometimes we do that. Throughout the quest, we learn all about why the goal isn't going to be easy to accomplish. Frodo can't just walk into Mordor because there's armies of orcs, or there's this big black gate stopping them. We learn about all the complications between us and the goal, but we always knew what that goal was. And this puts every single event into context for the reader. Every moment of conflict that the heroes face, we understand exactly how that can impact the final goal of the quest. We understand the implications of the heroes being delayed or even being separated. This comes back to the idea that the reader needs to know certain information to find the story compelling. They invest themselves in the events of the world and the story and the characters. It's this idea that you come across time and time again that context is key. The reason that fight scenes are so exciting and fun and impactful isn't because it's two characters throwing punches, but it's because of the context around the fight. They are fighting because they disagree on X, Y, and Z, and this fight really determines that decision. It has impact. And context around the fight makes the actual moments of action important. The quest gives us that context. We know what the goal is, and more importantly, we know what the consequences are. Every good quest has an undeniable, set-in-stone reason why it must be accomplished, why this goal needs to be achieved, and what happens if the goal isn't achieved. If Frodo doesn't destroy the One Ring, evil wins. If the detective doesn't solve the mystery, then justice isn't served. The killer gets away. If House doesn't crack the case, the patient dies. We know all of this from the beginning of the quest. The sheer fact of the consequences surrounds every action of the quest, just like the goal does. They go hand in hand. The important thing about the consequences of whatever quest you want to write is that it must be impactful enough so that the heroes can't just ignore it. It needs to have some sense of expediency, of urgency, of severity. If our heroes could just stop and walk away, then what kind of quest is that? Now, those consequences and the goal of the quest, like I said, they go hand in hand. If the goal of the quest is to win the heart of this other person, then the consequence of that needs to be appropriate. It can't be a quest to fall in love, or else evil takes over the whole world, even though that sounds like there's probably a romantasy book out there that does that exact thing. Those two things are just not equal. In most quests, the consequences are known from the start, but the understanding of those consequences changes as the characters become more involved with the quest. Aragorn is driven to protect Sapphire, his dragon that he raised from an egg and he's attuned with? I don't know what they call it in that book. But as the quest grows and Aragorn becomes more involved with this rebellion against the Empire, the stakes are changed to be more than just protecting his dragon. Now it's about saving all of these people that he's grown to know and understand and connect with. It's way bigger now. And that's a normal way that a quest is presented. In every story, especially the middle 50% of your novel, you need to raise the stakes. The characters learn more, the readers learn more, and there should be more on the line. And if your story isn't raising the stakes in some way, if it isn't putting more on the line, then you need to make a change. And one of the best ways to increase the stakes is through a better understanding of the enemy. The enemy, the antagonist, again, I'm just trying to keep things kind of on theme here. The enemy of your quest, just like the consequences, should be present from the beginning. And again, this is all about setting things up for later. The enemy of your quest might be known, but not understood. The enemy might be present, but at a distance. And the quest itself drives the heroes and the enemy together. And in these moments of interaction, both the heroes and the reader better understand what they're up against. Do you even need an antagonist for your quest? Can't the heroes just be up against nature, against evil, against the difficulty of the journey of the quest? Well, if you do that, if you have no direct opposition, then you really set yourself back from being able to create these moments of character interaction. Having your heroes up against something that is never fully involved in the story, just like an evil monster, just leaves so much on the table. One of the great things about writing stories is creating compelling antagonists and having the reader understand their actions and even creating moments of change for that antagonist. That is so satisfying. And if you don't have an enemy that can oppose your heroes in this way, where they can interact with each other, then you just miss out on all of that. Have an enemy. And when you do have an enemy, allow the heroes and the enemy to meet. Even in Indiana Jones, where the villains of the first and third movies at least are just Nazis, we still meet and understand the motivations of those enemies. Now, it's done to varying degrees, and a lot of this example is just chalked up to they're Nazis, but you kind of get what I'm saying. In the video game Mass Effect, we meet the villain Saren in the very first opening scene of the game. And we encounter Saren, we even speak to him multiple times. And each time, we learn more and more that he is conniving, tactical, and hateful. And each time this sort of interaction happens, we feel outclassed, outmaneuvered, and outsmarted by an enemy who is just better than we are. Those moments make later interactions feel so much more powerful. And each interaction peels back layers of this character so that we better understand them. The dog is itchy. Wait for it. Wait. Again, have an enemy. Whew, we got there. There are other elements of the quest, but I think that they start to get into the area of kind of being optional. I think the best quests take heroes through a bunch of different locations. I think the best quests have a lot of little side quests and additional smaller storylines. I think the best quests have these moments of impending failure before our hero overcomes that final conflict and succeeds. And I think the best quests have a sacrifice, either our hero or a side character that we lose or think we lose. But all of those moments are nice to have, but maybe not an absolute requirement. If you are putting together a quest for your story, these are the things you need to have. Establish life before the quest so that we can compare the change in the world and our characters after the quest. Have a clear goal to the quest and introduce complications throughout the journey. Make sure the reader understands the consequences of failing the quest and have those consequences be impactful enough that the heroes can't just walk away. Evolve the consequences as the heroes progress through the quest. Have an enemy that we interact with enough to understand them and make that enemy stand as direct opposition to the quest. If you are writing a story that has all of these clear elements to the quest, then people will notice. That quest is so directly tied to human storytelling that it pulls people into your world and your characters and your plot. And if your story doesn't have these elements to its quest, then you need to involve them somehow. These are must-haves. If you like breaking down stories like this, then like this video and subscribe for more content. Right now, as I'm filming this, it is Novella November, and I'm doing live streams 5 days a week where we are having fun and writing on live stream. You can join our Discord and hundreds of other like-minded writers just like you to share stories, ask questions, provide resources, link down below. And as always, thank you for watching.